Hi, I am Megaman, and this video will explore every possible power, ability and use the visions have, using every gameplay mechanic and cutscene. Also, expect spoilers for good measures. Are the visions only good for refracting one type of element from the ley line energy like what we can use in the game? Or is it just the tip of the iceberg of a much wider possibilities? Before we begin the observations, hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done. For now, there are only 5 classes of weapons: one-handed sword, claymore, bow, polearm and catalyst. And every character so far uses one of 7 elements when playing as a character, whether they can use or not 2 or more elements. Most physical weapon users, except for the catalyst, usually infuse their weapons with their element. But how the infusion works vary from individual. Like how Jean's elemental skill infuses her blade with Anemo to create a miniature storm and releases it at once. Kuching's second hit on the elemental skill infuses the blade with Electro for few seconds. And characters like Hutao, Bennett and Diluc infuse their weapon with Pyro as their primary fighting technique. Let's be real, no one's going to go burn and smack enemies with a book. Exceptions of this fighting style are physical oriented active damage dealers, for example Razor, Xinyan and Xiangling, and also Albedo, who is mainly an off-field support. Even Kazuha gets applied to this fighting style. When he uses his burst, he infuses his sword, then makes the field. And C6 solidifies this by turning basic attacks into Anemo. Next are archers. They use endless arrows, but when charged, the arrowhead infuses with the element. Same with infusions like Yoimiya's elemental skill. Childe's skill go beyond infusion and creates weapon out of hydro, and his skills uncover a lot. I'll go in depth down the line. Then there are catalyst users, who use magic incantations like Lisa and Mona, or infuses elemental magic to explosives like Sucrose and Klee. You can see this if you are using a grimoire type catalyst. When a higher level elemental magic like elemental skill or burst is used, they open up the book. Klee and Sucrose are special cases. They use previously prepared items in combat. Klee's normal attacks and elemental skill consist of bombs she made from explosives and ignite them with her element. But her charge attacks and burst are completely her power. So that one time she blew up a mountain, it's not actually her vision's power, but the power of Alice's explosives. When the accumulated energy from the elemental infused attack hits an opponent, they condense elemental orbs which then travel to the vision. This explains why all the vision wielders have their visions outside of their outfit. When the vision gets filled up with that energy, user can release it as an elemental burst. The energy cost is something that depends on the mastery of the element or strategical use, like how Raiden has a higher energy cost, higher experience and higher damage multipliers, and at the same time Zhongli with a lesser cost but higher damage multipliers, cause he has the highest experience using the Geo element and he has combat experience far surpassing anybody. But those are gods who don't even use a vision. I hear you ask? Yes, you are correct. But for them, their body acts as a vision, not the Gnosis though, since they used their powers long before Archon War when the Gnosis was given out. If you look at their energy particle gain, they still travel into their body. But for normal humans, it is the same, but for them, the energy is held in the vision. For normal people, Diluc, whose playstyle revolves around using his elemental burst to infuse his weapon with Pyro, and Beidou, who got her vision and her burst when killing the Haishan, so more power was exerted then. Those are all general skills everyone knows, but the uses of an elemental power given by the vision doesn't stop there. If the user has enough mastery over that element, the user can turn themselves into that element, like how all the catalyst users turn into a ball of that element when they plunge attack. This applies especially to 3 characters now. More will be in the future. Going with the catalyst, we have Mona who can turn herself into Hydro and move around with that. Also, we have Ayaka who does the same with Cryo. And finally, Childe. Not the playable one though, the boss, which in turn is the real character with every power included. Sometimes during first phase of his battle, he teleports across the field, but it's actually turning himself into hydro particles and moving across the field super fast. It's basically an alternate sprint used by Mona but supercharged. And at the end of the whole Golden House cutscene, he used the same method to flee the scene by turning into Hydro. The same can be said with Electro, but here it's becoming the lightning that moves in a straight line, like how Kuching's elemental skill works and how Traveler teleports to catch Thomas' vision that one time. Sticking to Childe for now, in the same phase he can create a shield out of Hydro that reduces the damage he gets. Well, let's be real, it's not as strong as Zhongli's canonical shield, and if he had his shield up all the time and was the real deal that meant to block attacks from abyss monsters, more people would be complaining about the battle being too hard. Also, his ultimate on this phase is Celestial Voyage, which is the huge Nova he drops. This attack is similar to Deluxe Burst, where he infuses his sword with Pyro and releases a Phoenix-like Pyro attack. But Deluxe is much weaker, but the strength is not the point here. With enough mastery with the Vision can grant the user any type of power relating to that specific element. Yes, Childe has a special role in the whole story, but it doesn't bend the rules under which everyone falls and increases the ability of the Vision just for him. I didn't take his AoE Celestial Arrow kinda attack simply because he only uses it in the Foul Legacy mode, even though it's still using the Hydro power from the Vision. If the user has a wide imagination, they could do much more with that power of the Vision, within the confinements of that element. So for example, water can take any shape or form, but the same cannot be said for fire, which cannot be a solid object. The abilities are not a manifestation of their ambitions either, since when they first got their Vision, it was cool, but they had no experience using it. A primary example is Razor, who learned from Waka and Lisa. That's why he doesn't infuses his weapon like a natural learner, but use Electro similar to how Lisa uses it. Characters who use the power of their Vision outside of what we are used to are Kaya, who used his Cryo element to create blades out of pure ice, and Amber, who infused a rock with Pyro. Other than that, there are not many who we know that went out of the box when using their power. The power of a Vision doesn't stop there either. Every character, when they get a Vision, they inherit a resistance towards all the elements. This is said all around Inazuma, where electro-poisoning is happening. Especially in Tattletale's quest, Xavier hires us because we have elemental powers and says only Vision wielders can handle the poisoning. And in Yanfei's quest, where everyone slept, the Smaragdus Jadeite was said to be poisonous for normal humans and emits geo-elemental radiation. To back it up, all the characters in a 4 unique elemental resonance party have 15% resistance to all elemental and physical damage. If the elemental resistance is canonical, what is there to stop anyone from thinking Vision wielders get enhanced physical resistance? A Vision grants power where only imagination is the limit and resistance to harmful elemental powers. But why? Why does Celestia want to give just one element to mortals? The reason is simple. They are training the future Archons for specific elements. They do this perfectly by giving out Visions to people with similar ambitions to first-gen Archons and focusing them on one element. By this, they are training new recruits to resist the massive power amp given by the Gnosis and to use it to its maximum potential. The God Hunger Games back then was done specifically for this, to select the strongest of each element so they can use the maximum of that gnosis. And that's exactly why Barbados is weak. He can't use the full potential of the gnosis. He was weak to begin with. But why do all this? It's to sustain the balance of this delicate world, to sustain the heavenly principles. From that, I end my observations. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, comment down your theories regarding the visions, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time, go wild with your imagination.